thank you for settling down so quickly. I want to thank everyone for coming to our, I don't know, we think it's like the 12th or 13th annual school-wide Rotary competition. And thank you to our local Rotarians. Some of you may even recognize an alum in the form of Grant Clark. Let's give it up for Grant. Since we have some middle school students here, I thought we would just share a little bit about what the Rotary speech entails. Every year, we get a speech prompt from Worldwide Rotary, and it changes a little bit, but generally it connects community service with some aspect of teamwork or everyday relationships. And so then all of our high school students have to write and deliver a speech that is between 2 and 5 minutes. And they deliver them in their classes, their English classes, with Mrs. Witcher and me. Then they can decide if they want to enter the competition. And that is what this is today. And we had like 18 people signed up, and then it dropped down to 12, and then we had a couple more add on. So it's a huge challenge to get up in front of your whole high school. Granted, ours is smaller than most, but to stand up here and share your thoughts and opinions about something that can be quite personal is really, really, really hard. And so I want to just remind you what it means to be a supportive and kind audience. All of our classroom competitions were wonderful. And the reason Mrs. Witcher and I enjoy the Rotary topic so much is that you can really write about a wide variety of topics that fall under that umbrella. So does anybody have any questions before we get started? They're going to select 3, sometimes 4, depends, people who will then go on to the next round, and one of those people will be able to win $100, which is awesome right before Christmas. We will not know who those 3 or 4 people are until later today. They will send us the results. Middle school, we will be stopping at 12:01 for you to go to lunch. We also have an order lined up where we're going to begin with our 9th graders and go through 12th grade. Do you feel like this is a good angle? Like, should I pull this back a little bit? Like, I feel, like, you want me to move it back a little? Is that okay, Mr. I don't know where he went. I'm going to move it back. Just so I can. That's okay? I think you might want to, like, face the Rotarians a little bit more, since that's, like, who is judging them. Yeah.
And if you have to move the microphone, you can. Just hold it here and here and just do that. You're good.
First up, please give a warm welcome to Farah Dugay.
Okay, sorry. Can I go? Okay. A team is a supportive group of people who are all trying to achieve the same goal and will work together to make sure everyone meets this goal. Throughout my life, I've been a part of many teams in my family, school, and community, and I have many experiences with teamwork I would be proud to share. On that note, my favorite, most memorable team experience was when I skied and won the 2018-2019 Red Parka Challenge Cup, the middle school equivalent to the state championships, with my 8th grade team. This group was the most hardworking, dedicated, passionate group I had ever competed with, despite the loss of many strong skiers from the previous year. This particular group was made up of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and 6 new 6th graders, with only one having any past race experience. These numbers were stacked against us from the start, and seeing other schools with all 8th grade teams was intimidating, especially for the Lin-Wood kids that weren't even 5 feet tall yet. We started the season poorly compared to other teams, but we continued to work hard and fight to get better. After getting closer as a team and starting to learn more from training, we became a better team athletically. Throughout the first 3 quarters of the season, we continued to make and shatter personal records, and we progressively got better. Even when we weren't making these records and we were losing races, we still fought like we were winning, and we cheered like we were as well. Our rule was that every person on our team and on other teams would have support at the top and bottom, making sure that everyone was excited for their runs. This eventually started catching on to other schools and kids, making them clap and cheer for every racer as well, never leaving anyone out. This brought up the atmosphere at races and encouraged kids to have fun, participating in our huge snowball fights, extreme snow fort building, and penguin slide runs on extra cold days to stay busy. It was in the last quarter of the season where I fully saw our team's efforts pay off, because we all strived to push harder to become a better team. We all raised our effort, and we tried to help others be more successful. This helped us place higher as a team and individually at races, and it showed the team that we are not limited to 3rd or 4th place finishes. After 3 very successful races using our new skills, it was finally time for our biggest and most important race of the year, the Red Parka. We arrived to the race in Lin-Wood fashion with donuts and snacks, and we got to the top. We had several hype meetings, as Marcus called them, and we watched the course get icier and the sky get darker as we waited. To stay warm, we spent our time posing for silly pictures to send to our main coach, Mr. Laux, who couldn't make it, and hiking and boot skiing as a team. When we got closer to our team's runs, we helped each other check bindings and take snow pants off. As we got farther in the line, we one by one left the starting gate excitedly, with lots of screaming, cheering, clapping, and cowbells. Though the issues with live timing made it appear as if we were in 2nd, we were actually in 1st, and this mistake only made our team fight harder, knowing that 1st place was just in reach. As we prepared for a 2nd run, we talked about the course and how we could improve from our 1st runs. This led us, once again, soaring through the course to the exciting sounds of ski races and extra loud cowbells from all the supporters that had hiked even farther to watch the competition-deciding runs. I got to the bottom and heard people talking about Lin-Wood being 1st, and I couldn't believe it. The team that had started the season with only 12 skiers, 7 with race experience, beat out all the other teams that had been crushing us all season. To end this amazing day, we even got a police and fire truck escort back to the school, making it known to everyone that Lin-Wood was the champion. This win was the 2nd for the wins of Lin-Wood in the history of this race, and it will certainly not be the last if everyone performs as they did last year. I certainly hope that this win sparks a change in the team dynamic of future Lin-Wood racers and allows them to use this race as their push to be a better team.
Excellent work, Farah. It's not easy to go first, and so I appreciated her volunteering from the freshman class. Just as we heard some little ones in the hallway this morning when we were practicing down in my wing, rainy day, they come in that hallway. We are going to be battling a little bit of noise coming from the lunchroom. And with that said, just pretend they're not there and keep looking out this way. Speak nice and slow. And we're going to have Emma Mcnamara up next.
Okay. You're ready, Emma. In the small cluster of homes I live in, there is a hierarchy. Different people stay in different places in different seasons and times. In the fall, everyone will sit by the fire outside, chatting and splitting wood by the fire, while the small children and dogs run around and my neighborhood cat looks for someone to sit on. In the summer, the adults migrate a yard over to sit and play cornhole in the sun. And by nighttime, they have a fire in the backyard with no large trees to obscure the stars. In the winter, everyone goes and sits inside a certain house to watch sports, knit, and chat. And in the spring, they migrate over to whichever yard remains the driest. But during this, the kids stay in one spot, sort of a pillar of freedom, somewhere to escape the mean adults, in a place where they can play truth or dare or manhunt on warm summer nights, a place to build snow forts in the dead of winter, a place to sit in the mud, and a place to talk and laugh in the fall. All the kids stay in Gavin's yard. This phenomenon began when I was 5. The blonde 4-year-old neighbor kid drove over my foot in his Barbie car and then asked if I wanted to hang out. I obliged. We reappeared minutes later to the confusion of his dad, as his child had just driven around a patch of trees and returned with a second child. Also coupled with distress from my mom, who had turned around to get a glass of water only to see that her daughter had mysteriously disappeared. Gavin and I became the iconic neighborhood duo, but of course, soon after there was a new addition to our gang, and the other neighborhood kid, Brody, joined our stupid games, often joined by 2 or 3 of his friends and occasionally his sister. As the group grew, the stairs to the Historical Society and a couple of rocks had become uninteresting and acorn wars were made. These wars consisted of teams being decided and everyone running to the oak tree to get acorn weapons and huckling these plant-based projectiles at anyone within range, without any regard to said teams. This always ended with someone running to their parents in tears. Eventually, we realized injuring ourselves for fun was not the best use of time, and luckily for us, this was around the time Gavin's dad decided to get a hammock. This hammock was the stuff of legends, and still was up until recently. The main goal was to see how high you could push someone, or alternatively, how fast you could send someone flying out of it. Back then, the hammock was a place for war, and it has become somewhat of a peace treaty, but still, the occasional month-old bucket of rainwater will be dumped unceremoniously onto your head. But I digress. After the hammock was purchased came the trampoline. This thing has been the absolute cause of injury since its arrival. It's a murder device. I have seen plenty of fights on this trampoline, one of which I was in, leading to me getting a bloody nose and several bruises. My mom was thoroughly unimpressed, but it was all in good fun. Despite the pure anarchy, the trampoline usually holds all the fight starts to wind down as soon as a little kid gets on. As soon as that happens, a somewhat civil game of double bounce battle will ensue, leading to the occasional injury, but still the lowest kill count out of all the games. In the more recent years, it's become more of a large couch where everyone sits and collectively plays truth or dare. After the trampoline came the final edition, the slackline, which definitely doesn't have the most injuries, but definitely the most comical ones. I can't tell you how many times someone has sat down on the thing only to be violently launched off, thoroughly convincing everyone that their neck has snapped. Added points if they're carrying a glass of water. This stupid yard has been one of the best communities I've ever been in. I've probably spent more time hanging out in Gavin's yard with the neighborhood squad than I've spent in my own house. This yard has been the base for Manhunt, an acorn battleground, a place to play truth or dare, a campground, and generally a good place to hang out. With this yard being the place it is, I could confidently say that without it, I wouldn't know half the people I do. It has been an important place for me and many other kids to make friends ever since we were little. Without it, I would have never met the best group of friends I've ever had.
Thank you, Emma. I giggled. Reminded me of my own childhood. Listen, that was awesome. Let's have up third, Emily Rich. Come on down.
Is this moving by, did this move down by itself? No?
Skeletal dysplasia is a life-changing disease, and it affects 1 in every 4,000 people. I have skeletal dysplasia, and it is a very difficult disease to deal with. It affects your everyday life, from walking down the hall in school to sitting on the couch watching Netflix. It makes your joints ache and your body hurt. It makes you want everything to just end because it hurts so bad. It makes you cry after basketball practice, and it makes you scared of being made fun of during games. Skeletal dysplasia is what makes me different from all of you. It has made me realize that everyone is different, whether you can see it or not. The many different types of skeletal dysplasia are what makes me different from everyone who has it. My type hasn't been found yet. All we know is I have what is called short long bones. This means that my bones don't grow as long as they are supposed to. My legs, for example, are very short, which makes me shorter than the average girl my age. Skeletal dysplasia is what makes it so I have scoliosis and curvature of the bones. It has made me realize that I need to treat everybody with care because I don't know what might be going on inside their head or even their body. The middle school basketball team is what made me realize that I need to push my body to do things that I want to do. I'm not supposed to play basketball. I'm not even supposed to be playing sports, but I push myself to do things because I want to do them. The doctors don't want me playing sports because I'm very prone to breaking bones or hurting myself. This has all caused me to work harder. Basketball has always been my favorite sport, whether I'm good at it or not. I feel safe when I am out there on the court. I feel like I belong. From our nicknames to my air balls during the games, I push myself to become better. My skeletal dysplasia affects me in this aspect, as it affects my ability to not be so scared. I'm scared that one of those girls is going to push me and I'm going to break a bone. I'm scared that I'm going to fall down and get a concussion. I am scared that I'm going to end up having to have my knees replaced like I have been told. But I keep going. I keep going because my team members make me feel good about myself and they help me become better. They make it so I'm not scared to defend that big girl or shoot those shots. They root me on and make it so I ignore the pain and keep on pushing. I ignore my feet hurting and my back aching. I ignore it all because the team needs my help to win the game. The game is why I'm there. I'm not there to quit or be scared. I'm there to enjoy myself and help my teammates. I remember last year I got shoved and smashed my head off the floor. I was taken off the court, and after the quarter, Emma Avery came over and asked me if I was okay. She asked me if I needed anything because they needed me. She knew that I didn't matter, that I wasn't good, because we're a team and we need to work together. Right then, I knew that I needed to get over the pain and keep pushing. My team needed me, and I needed them. They were my family, and that court was our home. I was home with my family, and that's all that mattered to me.
Thank you, Emily. Something really cool happened in the audience. Somebody had their head down. And you all know, those of you who've had Mrs. Krill, I always say, what does your body language tell me? If your head is down, that you're bored listening to me? I know that couldn't possibly be true. And I didn't even have to say anything to this other student whose head was down. Another person elbowed them and said, love when that happens. So thank you for looking out for one another. We have one more freshman, and I also want to say this about JJ Goodboo. JJ, you can come on down. There was a sophomore who had a really good speech but didn't want to deliver the speech. And I said to the sophomore, could you think of anybody you could ask who might be willing to deliver your speech? And without hesitation, he was like, JJ Goodboo would do it. And I was like, yes, JJ Goodboo would. But this is JJ's speech, not the other person's speech. But I like that you would have done it. Maybe we can go higher with you, JJ. Oh, geez. You got.
I just want to break it.
I don't want to break it either. Maybe this. Okay. Is that good?
Yeah, that should be good.
Okay.
All right. Last year's middle school basketball season is one that I'll remember forever. It's not about how many wins we got last year, but how we got there. My 7th grade year, the first 2 games were at Thornton and Profile. They were wins, and our team was looking really good. After we won those games, it went downhill from there. Although we were trying our hardest, every game, we came up short the rest of the season, except for 2 games towards the end of our season. In our Thornton game at home during the day, we would win, and that made everyone on the team feel good because in front of the whole middle school, it was nice to hear the crowd get loud for us. Then in our last game, we would beat Profile again, one of our biggest rivals. That season, we only won 4 games, but the next season would be a lot better. The next season was my 8th grade year. Coach Matt Manning held our first practice/meeting in a classroom. It was nice to hear a chat about things Coach wanted and things that we wanted to happen. One of the things that we talked about was goals that we had. One of our goals that we had was to get 10 wins during the season. When we set this as one of our goals, I knew that it was going to be hard, and I'm sure the rest of the team did as well. All in all, that first team meeting that Coach had was a good way to get the team together and talk about things about the season. During our season, we had a lot of success from the team. The team was working hard to achieve goals, and when on the floor, all 5 of our players would work as hard as they could to help get the team points and help the team get the victory. 2 games that showed that we really played like a whole team were versus Haverhill and Danville. The Haverhill game was a game at home, and it was a tough one. They had one person on their team that was very good, and as a team, we had scouted him out, and we had a play to stop him, and that helped out the team, not let him get many points. The game was a very close one. Both teams were focused on winning, and both teams were playing as a whole. Our teamwork in this game would result in Lin-Wood getting the 37 win. The game versus Danville was a stressful one. If we lost, our season would be over. At the beginning of the 4th quarter, we were down by 12. In middle school, you only play 6 or 7 minute quarters. So So to us, this felt nearly impossible to come back and win. Coach Manning was a very positive person, and he knew that we could come back and win. We all kept our heads up, and in the end, we would get the 47-45 win. As a team, we achieved way more than 4 wins than the season before, and we had achieved our 10-win goal. We would end up with 16 wins and 6 losses. Unfortunately, we did not complete one of our other goals. We wanted to win at least one tournament that we played in. Our team played in 3 tournaments. In every tournament we played in, we got second. The only way we had so much success was because how we played as a team. And one of our biggest accomplishments was the trophy that we won at the St. Johnsbury Rotary Tournament. It was a sportsmanship trophy. It was for the team that was the most respectful and helpful team. That is a trophy that not just one person could win. The whole team had to contribute to win. And I am excited for this upcoming varsity basketball season and excited to see what we can do as a team.
Moving on to the sophomore class. We have a big field of sophomores. We are going to go in this order. We're going to go Andrew, Bree, Marjorie, Britta, then Mahali. Okay, for our sophomores. Come on up, Andrew.
Service above self. Usually, when people say words to live by, it's an exaggeration. However, I think that Rotary's motto really are words to live by. It essentially says to put others first and have a strong work ethic. This is helpful in almost any situation, whether it is a club, a sports team, work, or the community. Service above self is a helpful motto to use as a member in any club, as it is saying to put one's service to their club before their own desires. Interact, in particular, emphasizes this motto. For those that don't know, Interact is a community service club where we fundraise and volunteer. For many, that doesn't seem like a lot of fun. However, Interact is the exact opposite. Through Interact, I have met many new people, made many new connections with local businesses, and learned many new technical skills, all while hanging out with my friends. It's sort of a magical feeling to help others while having fun yourself. Working together with friends has actually deepened our connections. But back to the topic. In Interact, members put the community before themselves. Service above self is also a good motto to practice in any sports team. This time, instead of service to the community, it is service to the sports team and the school. Sports have a way of pushing one to and beyond their limits. Most of the school sports are team sports, where individual accomplishments shouldn't matter. But why push yourself when you, personally, have nothing to show for it? That is where service above self comes into play. By doing your best, you are doing a service to your team. Service above self is a very useful motto to use in the workplace. In this case, it translates to say that while one is on the clock, they should give 100% to their employer. I see this firsthand at my job at the railroad. Many older guys could retire if they wanted to, yet they still give 110% to the company. Why? Because they know that their work is contributing. I try to use these guys as role models, yet it is difficult, even with my young blood and energy, as they call it. Our generation in particular has a reputation of being lazy workers, and it is up to us to change that. My theory is that getting paid by the hour is also getting paid by the minute, so my employer deserves to maximize every minute. As an employee, if you do service above self, then the chances are your employer will like you. Lastly, service above self translates to the community and helping one's neighbors. Living in North Woodstock, I'd call the person that lives right next to me my neighbor, but I would also call someone that lives a mile down the road from me my neighbor. This just shows how we have such a close-knit community. If any of my neighbors ever ask for help, I try to do everything in my power to help them, because I know that they would do the same thing for me. Sometimes it's little things, like watching their dog or shoveling their driveway, and sometimes it's bigger things. Several years ago, my neighbor across the street from my dad's house lost her husband, Her son lived in Rhode Island, so they asked me to help shovel her walkway, which I did for the next 5 years. I really liked my neighbors, so I felt good to be able to help them out. Service above self tells us to help our neighbors because someday we might need them to help us. Usually, when someone says words to live by, then the words that they are referring to are a cliche. But Rotary's motto of service above self is anything but cliche. To me, this was Dave Dovalach. For those of you that don't know, Dave used to be the caretaker, snowmaker, groomer, you name it, of the Kank ski slope. He went above and beyond in his job, always showing up early with a smile. Although we lost Dave 2 years ago, he made an impact that still lives on. Dave had a long-term vision for the Kank that was continued by the town this summer. This included a new trail, new tow line towers, new lights, and much more. Dave, along with many others, inspires me to put service above self and always put community first.
She already knows Brie Calaio. Hold on, I gotta hold it here. Is that good?
I guess. Hopefully. I am not the person I want to be. At least not yet. Who I am and who I would like to be are two very different people. A lot of people believe that I can be better, and that makes me want to be better, but I don't know how to change. Putting myself around good people, that I have done. I have a good group that supports me. My friends have my back even when they know that I can do better. My family is good to fall back on, to keep me going, because they remind me of how much I don't want to be here, how much I want to go anywhere else other than here. They remind me of the whole world that I haven't seen, all of the opportunities that are in other places. They want me to be better than they are. They want me to grow up better than they did. And I appreciate that more than anything. I want to live up to those standards. I want to be able to live, learn, and then laugh about it after. My family is full of problems, and I don't want to be like that. So I have a reason to start trying more and more in school, but it's hard to just start new. I've never really tried my hardest in school. I've never given 110%, because it was never a necessity for me. I never even thought about college. I just knew I wouldn't get in, so what was the point in trying now? I never put school first because I have to focus on family. Every day, all the time, or else it might fall apart. Everything that happens in my house gives me more and more reasons to put school first. But who would I be if I put school first and then something went wrong? Who would I be? Who would be there for me when school gets me stressed out? And who would I be if they were there for me when I needed help, but I wasn't there for them? My family will be there. They're the most caring and supportive people for me. And they would do anything to support me.
Mateo Vecchioni, come to the front office, please.
They would do anything to support me in the long run. I remember a long time ago, I woke up and I realized that I had to grow up a little. I had to understand what was going on. Finding friends that also understood was my next task in hand. I went to school with my task in my mind, and then I became friends with others who could understand. And we became friends, and we've been friends ever since. Finding friends in general was hard for me when I was young. Everything was so simple that I didn't care to have friends until 2nd grade. I talked to them about most things that appear in this life I live with faith and hope that some people don't even understand. Talking with a friend who has had your back for as long as you can remember, it's an amazing feeling. I don't know how people get by without having a supportive friend by their side, and it kind of hurts me because I don't think I would be this calm without a friend beside me telling me everything will be all right. I have so much faith and hope that everything will be all right. I feel that I have two sides. One that tells me, don't worry, it'll all be okay, don't even worry about it. Then there's a second side where I feel everybody is going to leave me and I will be stuck here, or they are someday not going to be with me, and somehow I'll forget all the people I cared about. But I try not to think at all these days, because if I did, there would have been an eruption of words pouring from my mouth like a volcano. Nothing would be the same. Every day I believe there is a new day with new problems and a new story. More and more connection, no matter what you say or what you do, the people that really care will stick by you. Everyday relationships, whether it's friends, families, or couples walking down the halls, everything that you do might affect another person, and that's the most important thing to remember.
Should I dismiss the 8th grade now? What time is it right now? 2:00. Okay, so Marjorie's up next. Marjorie, just remember, when you hear the bell, just stop till the bell's done. Let's give it up for Marjorie.
We're good. No, we're not.
I'm actually gonna touch it. Okay. And if I sit down again, I'll look crazy.
If you have some sort of degree in English, literature, or even have just some common knowledge and can spell correctly, yes, there is no I in team. It's not TM, it's team. You may not realize it, but being part of a team, or just teamwork in general, helps us build necessary skills for this world. This world where being able to work with different people, friend or foe, is essential. This world where it's getting harder to work with people without arguing. This world is derived from teamwork. Just think about it. And being part of a team means you have to participate too. That's where the I comes in. Families are teams. They're such a clear example to use, especially bigger families. You, the sibling with a car and can drive, go pick up your 2 other siblings without cars that can't drive so I can make dinner. As much as you'd like to say that that's your parents bossing you around, it's really not. It's teamwork. A small explanation: you're getting your siblings home so someone else can cook at the same time. Then you return home so you all can be a big happy family and eat. But being part of a smaller family, it doesn't happen that way. It being just me and my mom at home, it's much different. It kind of goes like, can you do the dishes tonight? Sure. Can you feed the animals? Yes. Can you do this, that, and the other thing? I can. The roles switch continuously in my home, but nonetheless, families, big or small, are teams. Now, if I was asked what my favorite team is that I've ever been in or on, to me, that wouldn't be hard. Music is one of the biggest parts of my life. I've been playing in the school's band since I was able to. Since 5th grade, 6 years and counting. We've grown and we've shrunk. Currently at 9 people, we are the smallest than I've ever been a part of. Besides making questionable jokes and picking fun at one another, we work together. Being so small, we all need to work hard. The phrase, small but mighty, describes us perfectly. Mostly having 1 instrument per person, almost 9 different instruments total, is challenging. We all work harder than last year. We work together more than some of you might think. Have you ever seen a score of a piece? The score that shows who is playing what and when and how. Looking at the score shows you everyone's part exactly. Something like, don't forget to look at dynamics, people. Okay, we need to pick up tempo. Trumpet, you're too quiet. Or some other statement like that can be heard during class. Within the band, as we play, we assist each other. Backup backs up and melody plays melody. Self-explanatory. In our parts, we can be in unison or parts can shift on their own. Now, every team has a captain. For the band, our captain is the one and only Mr. Untersea. Captains are not there to instruct us on what we're supposed to do. They are there to guide us. What Mr. Untersea does is not instruct us on how to play. He's there to guide us through the piece. You see, if you were able to walk down the dead-end hallway leading to the band room, you would often see him using many different kinds of similes, metaphors, hand movements, and much, much more to teach us how to play the music musically. When we all play those notes, those rhythms, the pieces we have, we work as a team, together as a whole, wanting and making one big sound of music. Being part of a team involves you. When people said that there is no I in team, I feel they mean that you're not supposed to be self-centered. It's not all about you. What they are not saying is that you're not part of the team. You're not doing good enough. You're not whatever. That would be no you in team. Which, thinking about it, there always is. See, there is a hidden letter in the word team. It is I. Because you need to say to yourself what being a part of a team is, I need to do better, so my team can do better. Whether that team is from a literal sports team, your family, or something like a band, chorus, or anything where you need to work with other people, you need to remember that with you, the team wouldn't be able to be the way they are. Something would be different, not quite right, if you did not A, be part of the team, or B, not try as much or as hard as you can. So, keep this final thought in your pocket and take this with you. The phrase, there is no I in team, is incorrect. It should be, there is no me in team. There is no I in team. Or is there?
Middle school, head out. Thank you for coming. Next year, 8th grade, you're mine. I see some people needing to shift around. Just make sure your body language, Dylan Russell, still shows that you're interested. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We are like more than halfway. Can we please have Britta Robinson? Is this a good height for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you need anything from me? Do you want to give me a high five? Or you want a hug? You're going to be great. You're going to be great. Okay? You're going to be great. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Okay. Shake it out. You're good. You're good. You're color-coded and everything.
Teamwork is the sole reason I am where I am today. Without working together with my coach and teammates, I never would have been able to run cross country. And without working together with my teachers and my parents, I never would have been able to join the team. Cross country is a difficult sport. It doesn't sound like a difficult sport. A lot of people actually think it's boring. When I was explaining cross country to relatives that I only see once or twice a year, they just looked at me like I'm crazy. And they said to me, "So you run? Don't you hate running?" No way. I hate the idea of running. I hate thinking about running, and I hate getting ready to run. But I have those kinds of teammates, what few I have, that bring me out to run every day after school. Once I start running, it's great. Suddenly, I love running, and I wouldn't do any other sport if you paid me. Cross country is a really difficult sport, but after a race, when every muscle in my body is sore, and I've given all I have to give, 5 minutes later, I feel strong and happy, and I have enough energy to run another full race. I don't think I'd be able to participate in cross country without the kind of team I have. But I have gotten so many rides home from this team after races and practices. But more importantly, they carry me through the days that I just don't want to run. I do not see myself as an athletic person. I am not a very fast person, and I do not place very high. I certainly haven't won any medals for cross country. And some people can't imagine why I'd run if I'm not fast. Someone actually said to me, "If you're not going to win, why go at all?" I was shocked. If everybody lived by that, then there would be no cross-country teams and there would be no races. Cross-country is not all about winning. Sure, it's nice to get a shiny medal to hang on your wall, but if that's all you're running for, you're doing it wrong. Some run because running makes them happy. Some run because they think it's fun. Some run just to get better at running. I run because it makes my coach happy. I run because I feel happy while I'm running. And I run because I love my team. Cross-country teams are the most supportive teams. Why? Because running isn't the most aggressive sport, but also because when you're racing against other teams, every coach and every parent and every sibling and every friend are all cheering for you and every other racer. My mom actually called it a culture shock, because this year was my first year racing. Before cross-country, I played soccer, a much more aggressive sport. If I was to cheer for the opposing team at one of our school's soccer games, I'm pretty sure I'd get a few dirty looks. Last year, I hated sports. Each practice, each game, I was almost never played in soccer and softball games. I never once thought that I was any good at any sport I played because there was always someone better than me. Cross country taught me that competing doesn't always mean competing against others, but also competing with myself. There is nothing more rewarding than seeing and feeling the outcome of working hard, even if the difference is just seconds. I also compete with myself with my grades. I have improved greatly since last year, and I plan to continue to improve throughout my high school and college career. Cross country showed me that it doesn't matter how many people are better than me. What matters is that I'm making my own improvements. I believe that that outlook has helped me become more confident in sports and my grades, and I believe that everyone should use that outlook. My coach, Miss Sarah Bowden, taught me that it's okay to take as much time as I need and that it's okay to ask for help. Without her, I would have never run cross country. With her encouragement, I was able to reach a new personal record nearly every race. Without the help from my coach and my parents, I would have never had the courage to participate in cross country, and I wouldn't have any of the friends that I have today.
So glad Miss Bowden could make it. She's crying. Well, just wait till you hear Mahali. Come on up, Mahali. So exciting that we have, let's give it up for the cross-country team. Let's give it up for the cross-country team.
I won't. Okay. Okay. This year's Rotary quote was, "How does Rotary connect to my world?" Which had me thinking for a while. How does Rotary actually connect to my world? After a lot of brainstorming, I figured out that Rotary has impacted me most in my favorite sport, which is cross country, obviously. One way that it connects to cross country is that it needs a lot of teamwork and support from others around you. As you know, cross country is one of the hardest sports, which is why it requires so much teamwork and support. I'll start by talking about how much cross country has affected my physical health. Cross country has affected my physical health in a positive way. When I started freshman year of high school, I was a really skinny and unathletic person. I know, more than I am now. Then as the years went by, my sister persuaded me to join cross country. I was hesitant at first, since I'd never been on a sports team before. But as I continued running and went into my sophomore year, it really helped me become a lot healthier than I had before. I had begun to feel happy about my body again and became more physically active. I used to not be able to go swimming because I was so self-conscious, and now I can. This is how cross country has physically affected my life. Cross country has also affected me in a mental way. I used to hate how I never did anything athletic with others, and I yearned for a team that I could call my own. As time went on, I started to slowly get more sad. But as I joined cross country and finally had a team that would help me improve and grow as an athlete, I started to become happier. Cross country has also helped me mentally because it has helped me focus more. For example, when I'm running, I'm always focused on becoming a better runner and getting a better time. So when I'm taking a test, I use this strategy, and it really helps me. Cross country has also helped me meet a whole bunch of new people that I never would have talked to before. As most of you know, I am a very shy person when it comes to meeting new people. But those of you who have known me for a long time know how shy I used to be. I used to not be able to talk to anyone I didn't know if somebody wasn't near or with me. But cross country has helped me realize that people aren't there to harm you or make fun of you. They are there to help you most of the time. I learned this at races, when all the other kids that run with you are always very supportive and will help you and talk with you if you need it. This helped me break out of the shell that I was hiding in, and now I can meet new people without being afraid. Another way that cross country has helped me in a huge way is it has taught me to never give up. This has impacted me in a huge way because I used to give up so easily if things started to seem tough for me. But after I started to run cross country, I started to give up less and less. Now going on to my second quarter sophomore year, I've learned to never ever give up on anything that you believe is important. This has helped me with school, family, and basically everything. This has also massively helped me with my friends. Because when my friends and I used to get into fights, I never tried to fix them because I had given up on them. But now I always try and work things out and try and keep my friends and family. Finally, all these connections show how Rotary connects to my world. They show how Rotary connects to my world because cross country has become a major part of mine.
That's it. That's it for you, Miss Bowden. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for coming. Next up, Angel Kittleson. Come on down. So we have Angel, Silas, Kai, and Dimitri. That's it.
Rotary is all about community service and teamwork to create a more friendly and connected environment. The main source of community service that I am involved in is babysitting the little ones of the town. Children are the future world leaders, parents, businessmen and women, etc. Babysitting is one of my favorite hobbies. I love the kids. They're innocent, goofy, they're still learning about aspects of life, and they are all around adorable. Although some of them are jerks, it is still meaningful to the kid and myself when bonding and building trust with each other. I started babysitting when I was 11 and have been doing it ever since. I often take care of my nieces when they come over to my house. They are 7 and 4 years old, both extremely sassy and basically crazy. I've been in Presley, the young one's life, since she was born. The older one, Ray, has been like a sister to me since she was 2 and a half. I've always had a motherly instinct. I'm patient and I know how to act and react when it comes to the kids. I get a babysitting job in Lincoln and Woodstock about once a month, but I see my nieces every week. My mother also works with kids and loves doing so. She has a job in the elementary building working with kids who are cognitively disabled, so I learn a lot from her. Some challenges I've dealt with when it comes to babysitting is finding things to do outside of the house. During the winter, I usually take them to the hill outside of school and sled, but in summer it was hard finding different things to do because even though I'm 16, I do not have my license. The most commonly loved thing to do is go to the playground. Since I live near the school, it's a simple 2 to 3 minute walk through the woods. Another challenge, which is my least favorite, are tantrums. I find that the best way to deal with them is to sit them down and talk to them about what's wrong and how we can fix it and deal with the issue without crying. When they're naughty, however, they get a timeout in the corner facing the wall. Every bad thing they do adds a minute to their punishment time. This, I find, is a more effective way to get the response out of the child without breaking the bond and trust we have created. Children are still learning how to live life happily and effectively without disrupting others, and they're not the only ones learning. Everyone, young and old, are constantly dealing with challenges daily and constantly learning new things. Babysitting the little ones can not only benefit the welfare of them, but we can actually learn a lot from the children. Very important life skills. Patience, problem-solving, communication, and relationship skills, multitasking, confidence, etc. are just some examples. Children are also learning these along with you, but obviously to a lesser extent. Babysitting also gives you time to learn and grow before you have kids of your own, which benefits you and your future family. This connects to Rotary because babysitting and taking care of kids around the town builds a more trusting environment for them as they grow up.
Silas Whedon, come on down.
Is this good? An individual's ability to put aside their wants to put other people before them is one of the greatest traits a person can possess. Service above self. Service above self is Rotary's motto. A great advocate of this motto would be my grandfather. Email John LeBrecq. I'm sure that some of you knew my grandfather on a personal level or have at least heard the name. My grandfather was the most hardworking and selfless person I have ever met. I always used to say to my parents, Grandpa is never going to stop working. He is going to work until he dies. Unfortunately, I was right. Recently, on September 30th, 2019, Email John LeBrecq passed away. When people heard the news that he passed, friends, family, and co-workers were deeply sorrowed. He was a local legend of the Lincoln and Woodstock community. Although he has physically passed, his legacy lives on. My grandfather might have been somewhat of a troublemaker when he was a kid, but this was the beginning of his service above self legacy. When he was in his early teens, the Lincoln Hotel caught on fire. Without hesitation or thought, my grandfather rushed into the burning building, risking his own life by helping to protect younger children who were in the building. For his heroic actions, my grandfather was awarded the National AAA Safety Medal from New Hampshire's Governor Sherman Adams. This is truly an inspiring and motivating story, but this was just the beginning of his incredible journey. During the era of the Vietnam War, my grandfather joined the Army and proudly served as a helicopter transport pilot. In battle, it is crucial to rely on your fellow soldiers. You have to be united as a team with one another, not as a group of individuals. You and your fellow soldiers need to rely on each other to get through war. After the war, his legacy would continue. He would become the general manager for the Beacon Resort for over 20 years. On top of all the hard work that he did, he was the founding member of the Lin-Wood Ambulance Service and the Lin-Wood Medical Center in Lincoln, New Hampshire. He was also one of the original EMTs. He could be counted on to be the first to respond to a scene of an emergency. He even told me stories about how he had delivered several children on the way to the hospital. Needless to say, my grandfather would try his best and do whatever he could to help and save as many people as he could. While my grandfather was an EMT, he also created the local shuttle connection. If you needed a ride anywhere at any time, night or day, he would happily be there to give you a ride to your destination, regardless if you could pay or not. The man constantly worked and never stopped. Working to help people was the cornerstone of his legacy. Later in his career, he was the president of the Lin-Wood Rotary from 1997 to 1998, where he was instrumental in organizing the club's largest raffle to help benefit local graduating high school students. My grandfather additionally served as the assistant district governor of Rotary from 1998 to 2001. He also served the law enforcement community by being a trusted bail commissioner who worked tirelessly assisting law enforcement in Grafton County, New Hampshire for over 40 years. In 2004, my grandfather retired and moved to Bradenton, Florida. He worked at a local golf course for over 13 years, managing the cart barn and teaching all the younger employees the value of a day's work. If somebody needed time off from work, it needed to be approved by my grandfather. He never found a replacement, but instead, he became the replacement. On top of all this, my grandfather was on the Sheriff's Advisory Board for Manatee County and an active member of the Citizens Law Enforcement Academy in Bradenton, Florida. On a personal level, my grandfather has inspired me tremendously. I strive to be just like my grandfather, with his hard-working ethics and by putting other people before myself. I strive to be just like him by participating in our local Rotary-based Interact group. This will be my 3rd year in the club, proudly serving my community. Interact is a non-profit community service-based club. We help out with different events around the town, big and small. During my time in the club, I have realized the importance of a hard work ethic. If you wish to be successful in life, you have to work for it. Interact has taught me how to work well with others to complete a task, and to do it successfully and to do it at a high level. I have built a strong relationship with my peers and advisors of the club, which is essential to do a job successfully. These skills of working with others, working hard, and being able to build relationships with people have helped me in sports and in school. I am grateful for these traits and will carry them for the rest of my life.
We are probably just going to run into lunch by like 2 minutes. So I would just ask you to continue to be an amazing audience. You're doing a great job. Is there someone over there by the door who maybe could run in to tell Jack we'll be like thank you, Miss Barr. We'll be like 5 minutes late to lunch, but they'll come. Thank you. I'm going to have Kai Good come on up.
Our high school has 93 students, and for most of us, we've been going to school with the same kids for the last 12 years or more, or even into pre-K. I didn't think that when I entered high school, I would learn anything new about myself or my community. I was wrong. The last 4 years, I have learned and grown so much as a person, all thanks to my many communities I have built through my experiences. In biology class, we learned that ecologists have created levels of ecology. Multiple organisms create population, multiple populations create communities, and communities become ecosystems. In this hierarchy chain, there is balance, resilience, and diversity that can only be achieved through teamwork. These are important factors in creating a stable ecosystem. I'm constantly searching for these 3 components when creating my community, population, and ecosystem. Humans, just like other plants or animals, create communities built upon relationships. People generally want to interact with one another and create relationships. My physical community is located in the heart of the White Mountains. It's a small, quiet, picturesque ski town off Route 93. It has its share of secrets and flaws, but the population takes care of its own in time of need. There came a time where I began to feel suffocated by my own community. I had a yearning for exploration and diversity. In high school, I became resilient and searched for adventure and ways to learn about other communities and ecosystems, human or not. This led to my passion for travel, community service, and the environment. As I travel and grow, I am happy to always have a supportive community waiting for me at home. My friends and family have allowed me to feel as though my possibilities are limitless. Lincoln and Woodstock have given me as many resources and support as they can. The Lincoln-Woodstock Rotary has given me opportunities to learn and grow in ways I never thought I would be able to. They have assisted in funding an economic gap for my education, and through Interact, engaged my passion for community service. Some may think that by leaving my community, I am weakening my relationship with the people in it. But I feel that this is just the opposite. My relationships and understanding of a strong community have only increased through my travels. I have also found a new community and more populations of people while traveling abroad who, like me, yearn adventure, exploration, and self-improvement. My peers at the Island School, an experiential learning opportunity, deepened my passion for the environment. Through youth empowerment and working together, anything can be accomplished. I've seen my peers work together to conduct real research, raise $10,000, archive stories, facilitate conferences, and make real impact. This is not without dependence on each other or our communities. The relationships I have built abroad have shown me compassion for others. The friendships I have made here have given me strength and enabled me to grow. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and I believe it. It takes motivation, determination, and drive to create opportunities, but it does not happen without the help from others. This is a perfect reflection on how Rotary has impacted my world. Their vision of service above self and community interaction has inspired me to remember where I come from and to give back wherever I go and whenever I can. Performing international service projects with kids from a variety of countries and backgrounds has shown me that cultural barriers and differences can be broken when working together towards a common goal, which is teamwork. The relationships built from the experiences I have had build character in multiple communities. Through my passions in teamwork, I have found new populations, created communities, and fostered an ecosystem for which is my life and my future to come.
And last but not least, Demitra Spanos.
When talking about either the community or the simple aspects of everyday life, the importance of teamwork follows us everywhere. Whether it be working together on a group presentation or in a work environment, teamwork is something we all have to tolerate. I know I might be making teamwork seem like more of a chore and less like a necessity, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The influence of working together is unignorable, especially in the tightly knit community we find ourselves in here in Lincoln, New Hampshire. As children, we are encouraged to bite our tongues in the name of teamwork. There will always be that occupation where you're forced to work with someone you just can't stand. From youth, parents drill in our heads that teamwork brings people together in situations where we normally pull each other apart. Teamwork is just one of the many ways to allow people to work towards a common goal without necessarily having the same ideas or mindset. Throughout my high school career, my peers and I have found ourselves placed in situations where teamwork is necessary. School projects act as clear representations of the real world. Sure, we may not be interested in the subject of a particular presentation, but it's irrelevant if we get along with the people we're working with or not. Much like a real work environment, we find ourselves working together to achieve a common goal, not because we particularly like the person. Same goes for community service. While some of us don't enjoy the activities of the community, we still give a portion of our time. The students of Lin-Wood Public School are bound by relationships in this closely tied town, creating a sense of compassion that drags us out of bed each morning to provide the community what it has provided to us for our entire lives. This would, of course, be the similar sense of assistance and support in whatever we choose to do. Teamwork is the groundwork for every occupation in the world. In an office or an industrial environment, it is expected of you to coexist with those you find yourself with or face termination. Sometimes, teamwork brings people together better than any job ever could. It can create an environment of camaraderie and brotherhood powerful enough to push normal people just like us to do incredible things. But this is just one of the underlying forces keeping our military on high alert and what drove hundreds of firefighters into the doomed buildings on September 11, 2001. On a more personal level, I've never really been the kid to want to compromise with anyone, but that doesn't mean I ignore the importance of getting along with others. This year, I had the privilege of being the captain of the local cross-country team, and I have to admit, it was challenging trying to balance the idea of teamwork and compromise. But finding this middle ground is important in preparing myself for the rest of my life. For those of you who don't know, I aim to pursue a future in politics. Ambitious, I know, but it puts even more emphasis on the importance of teamwork. I think we can all agree that diplomacy on the national scale is breaking down rapidly, and that those in charge continue to refuse to work with each other. But I want to be the person who can successfully balance what my voters want and what really needs to get done in this country. Teamwork is a core aspect of our lives in every way. For the majority of us, it allows us to simply keep our world productive, but sometimes it can drive men and women to do incredible things. It gives us an opportunity to look out for each other and work towards a common goal when the temptations of life try to pull us apart. Whether it be in the community, in school, or at work, teamwork will forever keep humanity focused and determined. Thank you.
Okay, those were awesome, and I certainly don't want to keep you any longer from lunch, but I do want the people who spoke just to stay here for one quick group picture. Can we thank our Rotarians for coming in? And thank you for being a great audience.